everyone, it's Dr. Namani and Dr. Louie back here today with the Athlete Spine. And as you can see, we're not in our usual digs. We're here at the Boeing Classic in Snoqualmie, Washington. And we're here today with Jordan Babineaux, a former defensive back with the Seahawks, and we're really excited to have you here with us today.
Thank you. Now, they call you Dr. Phil. Did they mistake you for the other doctor?
Oh my God. So everyone comes up to me and they're like, hey, does anyone call you Dr. Phil? And I'm always like, no one's ever told me that before.
There's only one.
And I'm nothing like that, Dr. Phil.
In your own way, you're your own Dr. Phil for spine.
There you go. We'll keep it like that from now on when people ask. But yeah, thanks for joining us. I mean, we all know you from, people love you from 2006 when you stopped Romo at the goal line after that field goal botch. But you've been playing a lot of golf recently too, and I know you've talked to us before about having some back issues in the past, and that's sort of like the focus of what we like to talk about. So tell us a little bit more about sort of what you've been through in the past and kind of where you are now.
Hopefully you guys can give me some treatment ideas around how to keep my body intact, because a lot of what I do now in terms of workout is all maintenance, but I was very intentional about ensuring that looking at my body and getting the images and all of my my history, my medical history, just so I can understand it a little bit more, particularly around the spine, obviously the head, and also like major joints, right? So knees, hips, lower back, and so those really are the kind of injuries that a lot of football players typically, especially defensive backs, like it's hard, but the strenuous and the strain of planning and breaking, changing direction, it's usually the hips that's first to go. But also being a safety, I tackle quite a bit. And so I've had some lower back issues and things that I've had to do in order for maintenance to be able to come out here and swing a golf club. So
So take us back to college. I think you had an injury back then you were telling us about.
Yeah.
Well, what happened back then?
I don't remember the play. I just remember because it was my first significant injury. And I had a bulge in my L4. And I didn't really understand what that meant at the time, other than, what do I need to do to, play football safely? But I was able to recover, through different, treatment exercises or mechanisms, cortisone shots and things like that. I mean, you guys know about that. But it never really gave me an issue in my professional career until, over time I realized that wear and tear on my body actually had a significant impact. And so, when I was done my last year in 2012 was my last season, but 2013 I go to the doctor and I do a full body report just so I can understand and have a baseline where I was. And then now that it's been 10 years, I'm doing it again. So just tracking my body and either the progress or, the degenerative effects of, lower lumbar issues or, spinal deceleration in some capacity, and movement and flexibility, just so I can monitor it now kind of more consistently with that baseline when I was done. So.
And you're doing everything correct, because all these injuries, they kind of accumulate over time, and if as we get older, our bodies stiffen, they become loose, and we can kind of tolerate these injuries a lot less, right? So the more you keep up with flexibility and strength, the less likely they are to keep you from doing the stuff you love, like golf. You really transition from one sport which had a lot of forces from hitting and changing direction to another sport, golf, right, which has different but also pretty significant forces on your spine, right, with all the twisting and torque.
The funny thing is that when you think about golfers, and particularly like Tiger Woods come to mind, and you start thinking about his injuries as a golfer, you say, like, you're a golfer, man, you shouldn't, like, you don't been hurt, right? Well, I kind of had this realization when Deion Sanders had turf toe. And even now, like, I think he may have had one or two toes amputated, and it's really costing it. I'm like, turf toe, like, but then I had turf toe, and then I had a lower back injury, and I was like, okay, all right, a little humble pie, but to be able to to still move and have the flexibility at now 40,
which isn't old. Or...
Well, I hope not. But a lot of what I do now in terms of like functionality is all maintenance.
Yeah.
Just so I can keep that range of motion, that movement, great. I mean, it's great for golf, but in terms of quality of life, there's also a huge effect and a big kind of downward type of slide for former athletes in general if they're not taking care of their body. So I'm really, mindful about, what I'm doing and at least thoughtful about the maintenance side of it and not really throwing around heavy weight or exerting a lot of energy through sprints and that sort of thing nowadays.
Both on the physical side and mental side, right? You know, I mean, keeping yourself engaged in all the different things that you're doing, just so that you're able to maintain your body and mind as close to peak performance as possible.
Were you an athlete?
I was a high school golfer and a high school basketball player.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so you understand, the
not at the level of
the
you.
components of, but still, I mean, like, how the mind and the body, right? I mean, just being able to train both and kind of have that competitive edge of being in the trenches when you have to, like, mine may be more of a dominant, characteristic than the physical side of it, and kind of that balance between going back and forth. No, so you're an athlete. Come on.
Well, I mean, we talk to our patients all the time, right? Like, you recover from an injury. Physically, you've recovered, right? Your back's not hurting as much. You don't have the shooting pain on your leg as much. But there's a whole mental component about getting back in the game, right? Like, your body can make those cuts. You can lead with your hip. You can take a step back. You can make the tackle. But is your mind ready to do that at the same force? Because the problem is when people hesitate or they think twice, that's when they get hurt, right? Because they're using a different set of mechanics than they once were. And I think that's one of the struggles we see, especially with spine problems when they're thinking about their nerves. As physically, they're good to go back, but mentally, it's a whole different thing to train to go back. Do you find that to be sort of something you went through as well, or was it like, what, I'm ready to hit the field again, I'm ready to get back, I'm young, let's do this?
There's both, right? I mean, obviously, professional, athletes, they in some way embody a little gladiator mentality, and there's always this level of humility, whether it's through injury, performance, the draft. Mind you, I mean, there's a draft every year, by the way. So, that return back to play, to performance at that high level after an injury is, not many people, get there. And I think there's the gap between those who, recover from injury or, season-ending injuries. Those types of injuries are the ones who can come back the fastest mentally and feel like they can still perform at that same level. Now, my biggest injury in playing was a shoulder surgery that kept me out of play. And, I will say that it's kind of, maybe natural, a little humanistic to kind of have that little sense of hesitation, but it's almost like rediscovering yourself and building that confidence all over again, because once you're out there making those plays or doing the things that you once did, you're off running. So it does start with the mental approach to recovery and coming back to performance or back to play after an injury.
So we're here at the Boeing Classic, and I know that you've been very into golf for a long time. You've been part of this tournament for a long time. Have you had any spine issues that have affected your golf game or things that you've had to deal with?
This is not your opportunity to make excuses for your play.
Oh,
so we're asking for the truth.
The setup right here, right? You teed me up and then just slotted it away. Look, I mean, the cool thing about being a part of the Boeing Classic, as integrated as I am this week, is that I played golf in high school, and so being able to connect those moments of like, I look at golf in many ways. There's a lot of life lessons associated with it. Okay, we can go on this forever. Okay, let's not do it. We can go there forever,
Makes
right?
me feel like a failure when we talk about golf and life together.
But still, right? I mean, there's lessons there. In terms of being able, like, mobility, flexibility from the spine, I can adjust. I've been able to adjust, but my spine, thankfully, I've been pretty fortunate to be able to still hit the ball and swing as much as I like to swing and play as much as I like to play without any kind of real ailments outside of the natural daily pains that I have to and live with. But again, as a player, you just adjust, right? You find ways to still, get it done.
Right.
Yeah. It's fun. I enjoyed it.
Hey, well, thank you so much for joining us
Thanks
today.
for having
We really
me.
appreciate it. This was a fun conversation, and until next time, thanks everyone. This is the Athlete Spy, and don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on Instagram. All right, take care.
Thanks again, Jordan.
All right.